250-yard performance that put him over 2,000 rushing yards on the season this year. It was the 8th 2,000-yard season in history. And, of course, all eyes in Baltimore will be on Lamar Jackson in the hopes that he'll play better in the rematch this year. He's had an NFL-best 93.1 QBR in his last 5 games since coming back from the COVID list. And I'll tell you what this is reminiscent of to me. And, Jeff Saturday, you're the perfect person to come to, because you have a young star quarterback who's done great things in the regular season, had no playoff success. That is the story of Lamar Jackson. But I remember when it was the story of Peyton Manning, and you were there. Can you describe the pressure that was on Peyton when he was 0-3 in his playoff career?
Absolutely brutal, Greeny. I mean, listen, every question, every question from every reporter is going to be based around Lamar Jackson. It's like the other 21 starters don't even get considered. And you just had a stat that when they played him last year, Derrick Henry runs for 200 yards. I don't think Lamar Jackson plays defense. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't. At the bottom line, though, is every question, every answer is going to be given is going to be about Lamar Jackson. How is this his fault? What can he do to be better? All of these different things. At the end of the day, playoff football is team football. It's not just about one quarterback. So too much emphasis on Lamar Jackson. This football team cannot be focused on one player. Everybody's got to pull their weight to beat the Titans this weekend.
That video you were seeing was Peyton's 3rd playoff loss, 41-0 at the Jets. He didn't win his first playoff game until he was 27 years old. Lamar is obviously a lot younger than that. Marcus, what do you expect from Lamar Jackson?
I expect Lamar Jackson to ball. I think this season kind of grew up these guys. If you think about it, fellas, like Lamar has been on kind of a magical fairy tale ride. Not only because of his performance, but because of the success of the team. And maybe that doesn't play well with young guys going into the playoffs. I think this season in particular for Lamar Jackson has really been his grow-up season, his coming out season. Yeah, he was the MVP, and people say, Marcus, you crazy. But no, adversity hits different. It lets you figure a lot of things out. A lot of the talk about the offense, some of the losses down the road, and then they needed to win out in order to even get into the playoffs. So I think this is going to bode well not only for Lamar, but for the Baltimore Ravens as a whole. But when you think about him, particularly, solely as the quarterback of this team, the fact that he had to go fight in Cleveland, the fact that he had to go undefeated leading into this playoffs, you cannot tell me that that won't serve him better than the previous 2 years have served them in the playoffs. So I expect him to play well. I expect him to keep that same type of energy he's had for the last month of the season. And I think the expectation for the Baltimore Ravens within their building is for them to make a deep playoff run and potentially get to the Super Bowl based off Lamar and this run game and that defense.
It's a point really well taken. Last year was a year where everything went right for Lamar Jackson. This year, I think, was a year where pretty much everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. Maybe that does make you sharper when the playoffs come. Dan, you were with that team this past weekend. What were you hearing?
Yeah, I talked to Mark Andrews, their tight end, about the differences, and he actually said, we feel like we're more battle-hardened this time around. Obviously, you'd like to be 14-2 in the 1 seed every year, but part of the benefit of having to fight your way in is maybe you have learned some of those lessons. So, and after the game, we interviewed J.K. Dobbins, and he's a rookie, but I asked him, what are they saying about last year? And he said, we don't want to be one and done. So obviously, it's a team with a significant mentality about what happened last year and what they want to do this year. The good thing for them, the Tennessee Titans played no defense whatsoever. We were looking over the last 15 years, they're the 2nd worst playoff team of all the last 15 years in defensive efficiency. It is set up for a Lamar Jackson revenge game, and if he doesn't have one, then the questions are just going to continue into the next postseason.
I think the team that wins this game is going to be a sexy pick to make a deep run. It's interesting that they get each other head-to-head week 1 of the playoffs. Meanwhile, Graziano, let me run the hurry-up with you, looking at some other storylines around the league. Let's start with the Buccaneers' Mike Evans. What's the latest?
Yeah, they got good news on the MRI on his knee. It looked bad when it happened, but no structural damage. So there is at least some hope that Mike Evans can come back and play in Saturday's playoff game against Washington for the Buccaneers. He's a tough guy. He's played through injuries this year and in the past. They'll see how he gets through practice. But based on the early week testing, there is some hope that they will be able to have him for the playoffs. In New Orleans, with Alvin Kamara on the COVID-19 list, Sunday is the first day he would be eligible to come off that list and join the team. So it's a good break for the Saints that they got their playoff game scheduled for Sunday instead of Saturday. Now, it depends on, is he testing positive or testing negative consistently? Has he shown symptoms? It's not automatic that he comes off and plays, but assuming things go smoothly, the Saints could have Alvin Kamara back for the playoff game. Now, in terms of non-playoff teams, we know a lot of teams are looking for head coaches. Curious to see how much interest some college coaches get. Jim Harbaugh, the former 49ers coach, now at Michigan. There's been some rumblings about potential interest in him from NFL teams, potential interest by him in NFL teams. We've heard him connected with the Chargers, with the Jets. We'll see if that goes anywhere. And Urban Meyer, the former Ohio State coach, sounds like he may be a strong candidate for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm told there's mutual interest there, that he's done some reconnaissance on potential staffing, etc. Not sure exactly how it ends up, but the smoke around Urban Meyer in Jacksonville is legitimate.
That would really be something fascinating to see him at this stage of his life. He's 58 years old, make that jump to the National Football League with no experience coaching there before. Dan, we'll keep a close eye on that. Meanwhile, I want to talk about the Houston Texans, who had a very bad season, despite the fact that their quarterback, Deshaun Watson, had a brilliant season. And yesterday, Watson was blunt when talking about all the things that need to change in Houston. Listen to this.
Just need a whole culture shift. We just need new energy. We need discipline. We need structure. We all got to be on the same page. There's too many different minds and too many different ideas and too many people thinking that they have this power, and it's not like that. You know, we need someone that stand tall, and this is who we follow, and this is the way it goes. Like I said yesterday after the game, and we're going to do it this way to win.
Well, to me, that is exactly what you want to hear a person in his position say, which leads me to the following statement that I know everyone is going to try and change my mind on. I know how terrible their cap situation is. I know they traded away the first and second picks they have in this coming year's draft. But the Houston Texans have Deshaun Watson, and no one else does. So to me, for that reason and that reason alone, the Texans have the most desirable coaching vacancy of any of the teams that are currently looking for head coaches. And that's where I would go if I were a coach with options. Because at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson is a superstar quarterback, and that's the hardest thing in the world to find. That's what I think. Jeff Saturday, you look like you're laughing. I know you agree with me, and you know I'm a genius.
Yeah, you know why your genius is never going to be appreciated? Because you have days like this where a guy can give a good speech and you're all in. Joe Judge give a good speech, you're all in. Deshaun Watson give a good speech, you're all in, baby. Like you amped up, man. hey, let me give you a team. How about the Los Angeles Chargers?
Jeff.
Hey,
Jeff.
Yo.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Jeff, tell him what you need to tell him, Jeff. Tell him what you tell everybody.
Hey,
that's crazy.
You are high. That's exactly. That's just for you, Greeny. That is just for you. Because my man, like, I listen to you. I love it. The whole genius. No, man. Days like this, they set you back, right? I mean, the Los Angeles Chargers are the job you want. I mean, think about it. You got Herbert, you got Allen, you got Williams, you got Bosa, you got I mean, just keep going on. When Derwin James comes back, when Pouncey comes back from injury, listen, this is the team that coaches are going to line up for. Tom Telesco, their general manager, has done a fantastic job of building this roster, and you saw a quarterback in the making with Justin Herbert. Listen, I love Deshaun. I love what he said. I love he's been called Michael Jordan, all those things. But Greeny, man, you are swayed too easy with the golden tongue, man. We got to hone you back in, baby. Too many speeches are changing your mind.
Deshaun Watson was 88% of the Texans' offense this year, by the way, which is the most by any individual player in NFL history. Marcus, tell Jeff he's crazy.
I'm not going to tell Jeff he's crazy. I'm going to agree with Jeff, obviously, because he already told you. You way up there in the clouds, G. It's the Chargers for me as well. And it's a lot of things that Jeff said, but even this. Look, this is the cast no aspersions on Deshaun Watson. We all know Deshaun Watson is that dude, like top 5 quarterback in the league, top 3. You could argue he's in the top 2 this year outside of Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and the numbers they putting up. But if you look at Deshaun Watson, he right there except for touchdowns. But when you think about the Los Angeles Chargers, first of all, this team is not far removed from going to the playoffs.